You are watching the SEC on ESPN. We welcome you inside historic Rupp Arena, home of the soon-to-be #1 ranked Kentucky Wildcats, as Kentucky gets ready to take on the Dukes of Duquesne from the Atlantic 10 Conference. Mike Morgan with Chris Spatola. And Chris, while Kentucky has immense size this year, it is their guard play that makes them lethal.
They're outstanding. You know, they're three guards, they're starting backcourt. They're different types of players, but the two things they have in common, they are relentless on the defensive end, and they are outstanding in transition. Off a make or a miss, there may not be a better team in the country transferring the ball from end to end 94 feet. They attack the rim. They're terrific finishers. It all starts in transition with these three guards.
De'Aaron Fox is the talented freshman point guard who has that extra gear that very few guards in the country have. And he is surrounded by incredibly talented freshmen and the grizzled veteran sophomore Isaiah Briscoe. Kentucky wins the opening tap as Adebayo taps it into the backcourt, and here is De'Aaron Fox.
Duquesne plays a sagging man-to-man with pack line principles. There, a quick takeaway.
That is Isaiah Mike, the guy they need to play a huge role if Duquesne can stay competitive in this one against the heavily favored Wildcats.
By Kentucky turning teams over 22 times a game. Key for a team like Duquesne, who has turned it over 16 times a game, to take care of it.
Here comes Fox full throttle. Kick out past to Monk on a three. He was so good knocking down threes against Michigan State. He hit 7 of them.
You see how quickly Fox gets from end to end.
You would expect Duquesne to try and slow down the tempo a little bit. Obviously can't get into a track meet with Kentucky. Milking the shot clock down here to 4. Smith throws it up there and might have rushed that one. He still had 3 seconds left.
Not a great outside shooting team is Duquesne. They actually prefer to drive the basketball. Jim Ferry there.
5th year. He's been known to have some reclamation project. Did a remarkable job at LIU. Brooklyn took them from a program in shambles to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. Last year led Duquesne to the CIT tournament. And took over this job. They were certainly in much chaos as Duquesne clears it here. That's Darius Lewis, who's actually from Lexington, Kentucky. Grew up a couple of miles away from Rupp Arena. Strong take to the basket and a nice left-handed layup for Emil Blackman.
It's going to be interesting for Kentucky here again. They transition. I mean, you cannot, I said at the top, miss or make. They are looking to push and get to the other end. Talked about how good Kentucky's perimeter defense is. That second level going to be key for how they can prevent baskets like that at the rim. But if you're Duquesne on a made bucket, you cannot fall asleep, Mike. It is down your throat before you can blink.
Chris, I don't know if you can get it down the floor any faster. Briscoe drew that foul with 27 seconds left on the shot clock, so 3 seconds elapsed.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great look ahead. He fills the lane, and then as we said at the top, there are no 3 better perimeter guys attacking the basket, and this guy at the foul line may be the best driver of the basketball in the country. I mean,
what a welcome sight it is to see him at free throws this year. He really struggled mightily at the line a season ago. In fact, all his shooting numbers vastly improved from last year.
Yeah, he is one of the most improved guys we have seen.
Blackman shakes and bakes, takes it strong, and a late whistle, a foul called on Kentucky. And that's going to be on number 5, Malik Monk. There's John Calipari, the Kentucky head basketball coach, now in his 8th year. It was a little bit of a disappointing ending to last season. One of the few times he hasn't made it to at least the Elite 8. Lost to Indiana in the NCAA tournament. Has a national title going back to 2012. And talking to Cal today at shoot-around, he can't even try and disguise the excitement he has about this team and this recruiting class.
Yeah, well, he's, you know, the thing that amazes me, and you talk to Jim Ferry from Duquesne on the other side, The very first thing when you play Kentucky is you have to match their effort. You have to match how hard they play. And with all the talent that Cal collects here at Kentucky, I think it's understated how hard he gets these guys to play.
Fox with a teardrop on the other end. Duquesne trying to answer with a three. Again, not their strength, shooting threes. Adebayo back to Monk on a kick out. And Monk gets the shooter's touch. A very friendly bounce off the front iron.
Plays at a beautiful rhythm, has a great tempo. And he keeps that fire stroke alive with that show he put on in the Garden the other night.
Adebayo with the hands, getting in the passing lane quickly to Briscoe. Briscoe. Adebayo. And now Monk. Adebayo wants it down low.
See how sagging that defense is, Mike. Not even playing those perimeter guys beyond the three-point line. Duquesne wants Kentucky to beat them over the top.
Fox left the 15-footer short, and that's something Jim Ferry talked to us about, Chris, is that they know they have to gamble a little bit. They're going to beat them. Let Kentucky beat them from outside. Kentucky off and running here with numbers. To Monk. Look out.
My word. My word. I mean, it doesn't matter if you can shoot from the outside, my friend. When you can transfer that ball 94 feet like that, and then you've got athletes to finish, that is a sight to behold.
Malik Monk broke a lot of Arkansas Razorback fans' hearts, leaving his home state to head to Lexington, and he is a special, special freshman. Pull-up jumper, left short. Duquesne can't find it from outside here in the early going. This is Fox. Takes it in traffic. And a rebound off to Terrence Smith. Smith crosses over, pull-up jumper. Nice move by the sophomore out of Ocean Township, New Jersey.
You know, we talked about Duquesne wanting to be deliberate. Again, Jim Ferry, a guy who wants to play fast. And Terrence Smith, one of those guys, a reluctant shooter from the perimeter, but can really, really get it to the basket. Nice pull up there from the mid-range.
Free ball from the corner rattles out. Here comes Fox, whips it quickly into front court to Monk. Stop and pop, rattles off. And a tie-up almost. No whistle as Duquesne comes away with the loose basketball into the hands of Blackman. Duke's trying to find it from three. Can't get there, and another rebound for Adebayo. Ahead to Monk. Monk hangs, fires, and banks it home.
Cal calls Monk one of the best athletes he has ever coached. And we've seen it in the early going here. You know, we've talked about how well he has shot it. I think they'd like him to press the action a little bit more at the basket with how athletic he is.
Briscoe, such a tenacious defender, almost got another steal right there.
Don't blink, Mike Morgan, because this thing is coming down Broadway in 3, 2, 1.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's.
Kentucky out to an early 11-6 lead here at Rupp Arena. He is the one and only Chris Spatola. I am Mike Morgan. Great to be with you here. A late Sunday night at Rupp Arena has not stopped the crowds from coming. They're unbelievable here in the Bluegrass State. Chris, when you talk about Kentucky, we think of great recruiting classes under Cal. Everybody remembers 2012 with Marcus Kidd-Gilchrist and, of course, Anthony Davis. That was the #1 class. This was the #1 class. All 4 of freshmen are starting tonight, and this might be Cal's best of all.
Yeah, it's tough, and he talks about it like it might be. I mean, there's certainly the balance. You see Bam Adebayo there, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk. We'll also see Wenyen Gabriel, who got his first start tonight. Sasha Kalea-Jones, also a part of that class. Terrific guard play, but they do get the balance inside.
All the way to the bucket for the lay-in, Isaiah Briscoe, the sophomore from Newark, New Jersey. He is playing with so much more confidence this year.
Yes, he is. Those live ball turnovers are an absolute killer, especially against a team like Kentucky. Kentucky, again, forcing 22 turnovers a game.
Duquesne came in, giving it away 16 times a game. That's been a struggle. Adebayo with the block. Pretty tough to take it on the big man, number 3, who goes 6'10", 260.
Kentucky's going to deny one pass away, so Briscoe just dumps in the passing lane here. And he's built like a fire hydrant with legs. There is no stopping that when he sets his mind on that basket.
Shot clock is at 5. Going to have to get a quick one off here at the buzzer. Too strong, and the rebound to Briscoe, off and running. Here come the Cats. Briscoe with the left hand, left it short. That's going to be...
Can't do that.
Yeah, can't do that. Adebayo grabbed the rim with one hand and the ball with the other.
And that's
going to be a technical foul.
That's a technical foul. As you see, Adebayo goes up, supports himself, and you cannot do that, young man. I'll tell you what, though, look at that body. I mean, he was playing high school basketball last year.
It's ridiculous. I mean, at least Anthony Davis was skinny when he came on campus. Didn't make him less of a player. He was a freak in his own right. But when I first saw Adebayo in person at shoot-around today, I thought that had to be a mistake. That cannot be a true freshman.
Well, that's why, you know, talking to you earlier today, I think Adebayo and Wenyen Gabriel actually have the highest upside of this freshman class. Because look at that body. You can build a skill set around that. The same thing with Gabriel. I mean, Gabriel, 6'9", handles the ball, can make a perimeter shot, can defend multiple positions. I mean, those guys, to me, when you talk upside in this freshman class, I think those two guys have the highest.
Derek Willis, the senior, in the game now for Kentucky, number 35. Smith hounded by Fox. Baseline drive and a bump foul on Malik Monk. It's a second foul on Malik Monk, so he will go to the bench. And that's Michael Mulder checking in, the senior out of Ontario. It's one thing freshmen really struggle with at times is getting into foul trouble. Loose basketball knocked out of bounds to Kentucky.
Especially when you're putting pressure on the ball, right? It's easy. You can get away with it sometimes in high school, putting two hands on the ball handler.
Mulder up top. There's Briscoe.
See how sagging this man-to-man is. They'll go under all those ball screens and crossing actions, and the one guy who can consistently shoot it from deep is Willis.
Willis off to a slow start this year, just 1 of 5 from 3, and that one rattles out. And that's a guy that you really want to see him get his confidence going. Derek Willis, who last year was almost automatic, 44% from downtown.
Well, Cal told us earlier today that Willis suffering from a crisis of conscience, or confidence rather, on the defensive end.
Right.
Typically you see that on the offense. I will say this, when you're playing with such defensive studs as Willis is on this team, you stand out if you're not going to guard people.
Michael Mulder on an alley-oop pass. At times, Kentucky just makes it look painfully easy. I thought that was a good point, though, Chris, that you made about Derek Willis. As you see another look,
and this is a set. Just a nice screen there by Willis. The back door to Mulder. Nice execution.
Pull-up jumper, and that's contact on Adebayo, and that'll send Duquesne to the free throw line. But going back momentarily to Derek Willis, you hear so often when a guy is slumping on offense, it bleeds over into defense. You see poor defense. Maybe in the case of Willis, as Coach Cal was telling us, the lack of confidence in his defense is actually lingering in his offensive game.
Well, and he's out there to make shots, right? I mean, he's the one guy, with how poorly they've shot it from 3, he's the one guy who can stretch the defense. And so when he's not making shots, offense and defense are inverse ratios. You give us more offense, we can live with some lapses defensively. And so, you know, when he's not making shots, that defense or lack thereof can be glaring.
1 of 2 at the line for the leading scorer of the Dukes, Terrence Smith, averaging 15.5 a game. Rene Castro checks back in, the junior from Boston. Duquesne out of the Atlantic 10 Conference, located in the city of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Inside, Adebayo, no chance. Count the basket. That's just not a fair fight.
No, it's not. Especially when he has that angle and position. Playing in the post is about where you catch it and the angle you have. That's about as good as it gets. And then when you're gifted with that body, it makes it look easy.
3-point play for the 6'10 freshman out of the state of North Carolina. He'll get a breather. Isaac Humphries will check in for Kentucky.
Here's just that full court man-to-man. Fox wants to preoccupy the ball handler with his pressure.
Castro might be wise to give it up here.
I mean, really, that's all he can think about is the ball pressure.
Yeah.
That's the goal of what Fox is doing.
He was playing with fire there. Offensive rebound for Kentucky. And one thing that Kentucky has not done well has been rebounding. They've been out-rebounded by 3 boards a game in the early going.
Out-rebounded against Michigan State. I think more concerning were the 13 offensive rebounds for a team as long and as big as Kentucky is.
Willis knocks it down, and maybe that'll get the senior going.
He's the one guy you have to guard for Kentucky because he will knock down that shot. At a game last year where he made 7 threes, can really shoot it.
And a great hustle play by Willis to knock it off of Isaiah Mike. It will be Kentucky basketball when we return.
Look at this angle. The toss over the top by Fox. And a high percentage.
Back to you.
Wow, Brendan, thank you very much. That certainly would have been an upset that would have been talked about throughout the country as we go inside the play here in Rupp Arena.
That's what we were talking about, stretching the defense. You cannot leave Derek Willis like this if you're Isaiah Mike. Look at the recovery he has to make to a guy in Willis who's that prototypical stretch 4. And we talked about this Kentucky team. Really, Willis and Malik Monk are the 2 guys you've got to have an awareness for when you're trying to play this sagging man-to-man that Duquesne is.
Kentucky has hit its last 3 shots, including the 3 from Willis. Stays on the floor. Briscoe off a curl. Tries to slide it in down low, but picked away by Sanders. Here come the Dukes off and running, and that's a double stuff off the backboard. Sets up a 3 for the Dukes, no good. And slithering in for another offensive rebound was Isaiah Mike. He gets fouled.
I mean, look at this. You got
Goodness
from
gracious.
the right of your screen, guys flying all over the place. But as you said, Mike, Duquesne able to gather an offensive rebound, buy themselves another possession under out of bounds.
And that's one thing that Kentucky did not do very well last year compared to previous years was shot blocking. They didn't have great rim protectors. And that'll be an offensive foul on Duquesne.
Well, and young teams typically are not good rebounding teams because you can get away with so much in high school with size and length, athleticism, that you sometimes don't need the technique. And at this level, when teams are coached to go to the offensive glass, you've got to be technical about how you rebound.
Now, Kentucky last year, to put it in perspective, blocked 209 shots. That was the lowest total for any Coach Cal team in Lexington. In 2012, Anthony Davis by himself blocked 186.
So I say that second level of Kentucky's defense, we know the perimeter. It's one of the best perimeter defenses in the country. That second level of rim protectors, how active can they be?
Fox directing traffic. Back to Willis on a spot up three. Too strong. And here come the Dukes with a transition opportunity. Lewis will slow it up. And steps taken by Isaiah Mike, a guy who they really need to get going here. A 6'8" freshman who could be special in time for Duquesne. 6 turnovers on the Dukes.
Yeah, well, and the Dukes, a team that they're turning it over 16 times a game, and a lot of that coming with new personnel, 7 new faces on this Duquesne roster.
Leah Jones in the game. Good defense by Duquesne. They just cannot find it from downtown. Now 0 for 6. Fox going to spot up from 3. Got it.
Tell you what, he adds that to his game, and you see he's got a nice release. He's got to become more confident as a shooter at this level. He has all the tools, and then look at the motor defensively.
It's actually the first 3 of the year for Fox. Off and running here. Blind alley-oop. Coach Cal saying, what are we doing? 3 on the other end for Duquesne, and finally 1 drops for the Dukes. Mike Lewis.
Mike Lewis, the freshman, played for Chaminade College Prep in St. Louis. Teammates with Jason Tatum, who plays at Duke.
Willis passed up an open 3. Drives and draws the foul. That'll be on 55, Jordan Robinson.
Again, you see in transition, just creating offenses. Briscoe hitting the trailing De'Aaron Fox, and I love De'Aaron Fox. I mean, I'd go to battle with that guy. In the limited amount we've seen him already in college, he'll get after you on the defensive end. He's unselfish as a guard. Has all the tools.
The comparisons have already started with one John Wall in terms of the speed end to end. We'll see how his game develops over time. Fox wings it outside to Hawkins. Inside Adebayo, and there's that jump hook shot. Soft touch for the big man.
And he was out here 2 hours before the game working on that very move, the jump hook with both hands.
At his size, no one's going to block that shot.
No, they're not.
So, I mean, if he can perfect that, that's money in the bank.
And it starts with the position. I mean, he had 2 feet in the paint, and when he gets that deep, good night. I mean, here's the delivery. Gets his 2 feet in that paint, goes right up over the top. And when you're built like a Greek goddess, or god rather, that is not easy to defend.
He's working the low block again. Bellied up by Jordan Robinson. Fox lines up a 3. And Robinson tears away the rebound. Duke's hanging around, down 12. Dangerous pass. Got away with one there. Gabriel got blown by that time. That was a good drive by Terrence Smith, and that'll take us to timeout with 7:40 to play. Kentucky up by a dozen, looking to improve to 4-0 here in Lexington. Oh, it's that time of year. Great tournaments in college basketball. None better than the Maui Jim Maui Invitational. A quadruple header of games on Monday. It all starts with Tennessee against 9th-ranked Wisconsin. 2:30 Eastern Time, ESPN2. Georgetown, Oregon, Oklahoma State, UConn, and the 5th-ranked Tar Heels taking on Chaminade. That'll be Monday night at 11:30 Eastern Time on ESPN2. You got a favorite there, Chris? You got somebody you like?
You know, I love Carolina to start the year, and I think Oregon, once Dylan Brooks gets back into that fold, they are no doubt a top 5 team. It's going to be loaded. That is a loaded Maui field.
Jim Ferry looking on. His Dukes struggling right now in the early going. He's straight out of Keene State College in New Hampshire. And Jim Ferry now in his 5th year with Duquesne. He and Coach Calipari, they actually go back decades. He worked Cal's camps when he was the head coach at UMass. So he's out of New Hampshire, not too far a drive to UMass. He would work the camps. They've just stayed in touch over the years. Cal does some charity work back in Pittsburgh, the city that the university is located, that Duquesne is located. So these two coaches have great respect for one another and go back a number of years. 3 on the way, rattles out for Kentucky, and a rebound into the hands of Isaiah Mike. This is Smith finding Mike on a 3. On line, but that's short. Briscoe will pull it back out. Gabriel, one of the freshmen we alluded to earlier, getting his first start tonight. Briscoe found daylight, and there to finish it up is Kalea Jones.
Just left the ball, did Isaiah Mike. Briscoe underneath with a bare layup. And those are plays there again where the defense and the pressure just occupies the mind of Duquesne. You got to pass and catch, and that's all that is, making an entry pass to the wing.
Gabriel to Fox.
Duquesne either switching 1 through 4 or going under all these guard ball screens.
Adebayo showing off the left hand that time with the hook shot.
He'll put in the work. Again, he was out here 2 hours before the game, stayed after the shoot around this morning, working on that move, just drilling it, getting the repetition.
Duquesne needs to get a few of those 3s to drop. Kentucky, Briscoe takes it strong, and will they give it to him? They will. Little continuation perhaps for Isaiah Briscoe.
There's Briscoe, and then you see the post feed, and Duquesne, when you start behind the post player, when you start behind a guy like Adebayo, again, he'll work himself into position. And Adebayo, a guy who had struggled with fouls, and Cal telling us, you know, his fouls haven't come on the defensive end. It's really been on that offensive end, just trying to work for better position. Whereas if he just focuses on catching it, he'll be able to finish.
A sight for sore eyes to see Briscoe go 3 for 3 from the line. He was absolutely dreadful there last year, looked completely uncomfortable shooting free throws. And with his game, he's going to draw some contact. He's going to get to the line. Another 3 for Duquesne, and this time they bury it. That's Mike Lewis, the freshman from St. Louis. He's got 8.
Another good sign. Duquesne starting backcourt, 7 of 34 from 3 coming into this game. Get into this weaving action, and they're looking to drive. They're not really looking to shoot off of it, because that has been the result.
Briscoe threw it right into the hands of Eric James, and Adebayo gets it back, and he's hammered.
This is a man's confrontation in the paint. You like the stand by Sanders, but how about the motor on Adebayo? And again, I go back to what Jim Ferry told us this morning. He said, you know, what do you have to do to beat Kentucky, to be competitive? He said, you know, the first thing we have to do, forget the X's and O's, we have to match how hard Kentucky plays.
They just gave a technical foul to the Duquesne bench, I believe, on Jim Ferry, who was not happy with the call on that last possession.
I think he thought there was a foul on the steal, on the initial steal by Adebayo.
A little fire shown by Jim Ferry in his 5th year with Duquesne. Did a great job at LIU Brooklyn. That program was in major disarray and took him to back-to-back NCAA tournaments. I asked him point blank, why would you take this job? I mean, you knew you're going to have a heck of a challenge. Duquesne was in a bad spot. They play in a very underrated league in the Atlantic 10. He said, you know what? I like the challenge. I like taking over a program that's at the bottom and building something special.
Well, the one thing about LIU and Duquesne is they do have historical tradition, right? It's been a while, but there is tradition at both of those places. Duquesne, a good academic school and a place he felt he could get players at. Tough loss to Canisius the other night. They lost at the buzzer. They had taken the lead by 1 and then lost at the buzzer. But a coach's coach, a guy who knows the game and will get it going here at Duquesne.
It was the first missed free throw of the year, by the way, for De'Aaron Fox. He came in 21 for 21 at the line. Foul on Derek Willis. Kentucky up by 16, under 5 minutes to go, first half here at Rupp Arena. The Wildcats, ranked number 2, in line to be the new #1 team in the nation. There's a steal by Briscoe. Takes it strong, hammered, and he'll go to the line for a pair, and a little bit of tempers flying. There's a hard foul by number 2, Eric James.
How many of these have we seen? Just not being strong with the ball. It goes in the other direction for Kentucky. You know, it's a hard foul. I don't know if it needs any of that. Briscoe's teammates coming to his defense. The fall was, I think, harder than the foul.
Of course, this is something you can review at the courtside video monitor. Try to determine if it's a flagrant 1 or 2 personal foul.
I thought Eric James made a play on the ball. Again, I thought the fall was harder than the foul itself.
Yeah, the only thing that caught my eye here, did he make contact with the face? I mean, if he did, it looked incidental. I don't think this was malicious. No, he hits the arm hard, and it's a tough fall, but it's not something that I think would rise to the level of a flagrant foul.
I wouldn't think so.
Wow, and they are going to give a flagrant 1 foul to Eric James.
That is his first personal foul.
See, I don't like that call. And again, I think the fall was hard, and I bet Briscoe is going to have to put some ice on that derriere after the game. But Eric James makes a play on the ball there, and to say that that's excessive in any sort of way, I don't agree with that.
I think Jim Ferry is in agreement, questioning how that would be a flagrant foul, talking it over with Joe DeRosa.
And he's going back to the play where he felt like Adebayo hit his player in the face on the steal. And so he's saying, look, there was nothing called there, and now you're giving us a flagrant here.
2 for 2 at the line for Isaiah Briscoe. He's got 9 points to lead all scorers.
I will say this about Duquesne, though. You can't just let Isaiah Briscoe take the ball from you.
Right.
I mean, we've seen that 3 or 4 times tonight where Kentucky has just taken the ball and gone in the other direction.
Coach Cal believes Briscoe is the best defensive guard in the country. John Calipari's not one to just throw out superlatives or hyperbole just for the sake of doing so. You got to earn that kind of praise. Inside, Adebayo. That time he couldn't get it to drop.
Nice rebound there by Isaiah Mike.
And there are some things Duquesne's doing well tonight. They're just shooting 24% from the field, and you're not going to beat Kentucky with that kind of ratio. Fox weaving. My, oh my. Hanging and firing, draws the foul. 3:58 to go first half, and it's been all Kentucky. Wildcats up 37-19. Brendan Dino, we look forward to that, and you're absolutely right. Kentucky has played stifling defense thus far, causing 11 turnovers on Duquesne. At times, Duquesne has had trouble getting the ball past half court. The pressure has been relentless from the Wildcats. Don't forget, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN, we'll have the exclusive reveal of the college football playoff top 25 rankings. Join Reese and the gang as they break the teams down from top to bottom. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. Unlike 2 weeks ago where it was mass hysteria and 5 of the top 10 teams losing, a lot of chalk this past week. Don't expect a huge shakeup in the top 25.
Louisville goes down though, huh?
That was the
Houston.
one, yeah. And they're pretty much out of contention at this point. And another feather in the cap of one Tom Herman, the head coach of the Houston Cougars, who has pulled off a number of major upsets in his short time with that program. Duquesne trying to pull off a monumental upset here. So far, though, Kentucky's defense has been suffocating, and Duquesne has not been able to get into a flow on offense.
Yeah, well, if they haven't turned them over, they've forced them into tough shots. And you know, part of the thing is you can prepare for this Kentucky team, but what you can't simulate in practice is Kentucky's size and their athleticism. And it's a shock to the system when you first go up against it. And I think the length at the basket, the turnovers, has really put Duquesne on their heels. And that's what you can't simulate in practice.
De'Aaron Fox with a feathery touch at the charity stripe. Kentucky's lead up to 20. There's that weave up top again. And like you said, Chris, they're trying to get some penetration, but it's hard to get with Kentucky because they are so quick on the defensive end.
Well, how many times in the shoot-around today did Cal say when they go to the weave, they're trying to do what? And then the team responded, drive. That's what he has seen on tape. Now, the difference here tonight is it's tough to drive against that length of Kentucky. So Duquesne's been forced to, at times, try to shoot it over the top. But they go to that weave, you've got to talk, you've got to communicate.
Foul was on Fox, his first, and Smith knocks him down. He's got 7. 39-21 our score. Gabriel back in the game for Kentucky. I know you're really high on Wenyen Gabriel.
I am. You don't find many guys at that size. I mean, look, he was 6'1" when he went to high school. He grew to 6'9", 6'10". I wish we all could have been that gifted. But he can face up and shoot. He plays with an outstanding motor. He's versatile defensively, can guard 4 positions. I think he has the highest ceiling of all these freshmen. He's a delight to talk to, a great kid, and wants to be coached. A lot of freshmen, especially highly regarded freshmen, they don't want to be coached hard. And Cal, if you come here, he's going to coach you hard, and you have to be ready for that, and you have to be ready to deal with it. And all of these guys he has, as he told us today, Mike, they want to be coached.
Right. Gabriel, born in the Sudan, eventually made his way to New Hampshire, and of course now in Lexington. And that's a fine point. I think a lot of people would be surprised if they actually had the opportunity to attend a Coach Calipari practice. It doesn't matter how big the blue chip recruit is. They'll get yelled at. They'll get scolded if they do wrong. He doesn't play favorites. He will get after them. Inside it comes to the Lexington product, Lewis. Darius Lewis out of Tates Creek High School. Fox on a pull-up.
And that's going to be a big-time shot for De'Aaron Fox. Again, he just, you know, the difference between he and John Wall, to me, is Wall was at 100 miles an hour all the time. The maturity in De'Aaron Fox's game as a freshman is this: the change of pace, the stop on a dime, the pull-up from the foul line. He has the ability to change his tempo, and it's just a sign of maturity on a guard.
Tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun. The Jim Maui Invitational quadruple header. Tennessee, Wisconsin gets it all started off at 2:30 Eastern Time. Georgetown, Oregon, Oklahoma State, UConn. The 5th-ranked Tar Heels against Chaminade. One of the best tournaments every year. Not to mention a great place to have it. If you haven't been to Maui, I could think of worse places to spend Thanksgiving week.
That gym is a bandbox too. Great atmosphere. Tournament's a lot of fun.
Speaking of atmospheres, I know the crowd is quiet. This game has kind of been slowed down a bit by Duquesne at times, but I'm still just amazed. We're sitting here as over 20,000 people, a Sunday night, 9 o'clock for Kentucky, and people still making their way to Rupp Arena. Won't find a better fan base in the country. There's another block for the Wildcats. Here comes Fox. Into the corner, open three. Kentucky can't find it. Littleson too strong on the tray. Three ball is good for Michael Mulder, the 6'4" senior.
Not running a play, just being a basketball player.
Mike trying to answer, can't do it. Fox gliding into front court.
I think Coach Cal wants to play circle.
Offensive rebound by Gabriel, tapped out to Mulder, and a fresh 30 seconds for the Wildcats. Fox gets the play from Coach Cal. Ball screen, Fox takes it in and is hacked by number 5, Emil Blackman, the nephew of one Mark Jackson.
It's too easy. And this is what I was saying, just being a basketball player. Mulder trails the play. Fox, again, at a great tempo, waits for the defense to retreat. Mulder wide open. What a terrific player this guy is. He's taking 7 free throws a game, which is, again, he will press the issue at the rim. He's tough to stop, tough to contain, especially once he turns that corner. Scored over 3,000 points in high school, so you know he can fill it up. And one of the things Coach Cal says about him is guys want to play with him. When your point guard is that guys want to play with, your engine will run well.
Came in leading the SEC with 7 assists a game. Already has 3 tonight to go along with a game-high 11 points. Smith on a pull-up. Crashing in for the rebound is Humphries. Fox again. Finds the trailer, and the layup is up and through for Wenyen Gabriel. Runner off the mark. Humphries clears it. Kentucky can play for the final shot if they desire. They'll take the 2 points instead. Isaac Humphries, 7-foot Aussie.
Kentucky's big guys only took 10 shots against Michigan State. The Kentucky staff talked about getting some balance. They want to throw it into the post, and they have certainly done that here in this first half.
Wildcats with a half-hundred in the first half. Nice shot off the glass by Blackman, and that'll bring us to the end of half number 1. A half thoroughly dominated by the Kentucky Wildcats. 50-23, your halftime score from Lexington, as we send you out to the studio for the halftime report.
Thank you, Mike.
Welcome back to Lexington. This is the SEC on ESPN. Kentucky up on Duquesne 50-23. Our halftime score, the Wildcats looking good on both ends of the floor through the first 20 minutes of action here in Lexington. He is Chris Spatola. I am Mike Morgan. Thank you so much for stopping by late this Sunday evening. And Chris, Kentucky is hard enough to guard in the half court with all the talent they have. But if you turn it over and you get them in transition, they're almost impossible to defend.
Yeah, well, and a lot of times the defense is leading to the transition. They're denied one pass away, and they've been able to come up with a lot of these sort of pickaways and turning it to the other end. Here's another one for Isaiah Briscoe. This was the hard foul that ended up as a flagrant Look how quickly Kentucky transfers this ball. 3 seconds, they are from one end to the other, finishing with athleticism, finishing emphatically at that basket. Off of made or missed, they are as good as any team in the country. They are the best in transition. Starts with those guards and ends with great finishes.
15 transition points in the first half for Kentucky. They forced 11 Duquesne turnovers, and from that point on, that spelled trouble for the Dukes. Kentucky's defense has shown up tonight, as well as the offense. It has been a balanced attack led by De'Aaron Fox with a game-high 12, Briscoe with 9, Adebayo with 8. And they're getting contributions up and down the lineup tonight here at Rupp Arena. Adebayo on a repost. Defense collapses, the swing. Oh, Briscoe passed up a wide open 3 and then threw it away.
That's the area. He is an improved shooter, but still a little bit reluctant, would rather drive. And then there, an unselfish play. I think he thought he had Gabriel right there above the bucket.
And what did Cal tell us in shoot around today? On a play just like that, he said, Isaiah, on a kick out, if you pass up the 3 and don't shoot it, I'm going to yank you. Now, it's only 30 seconds into the first half, so he's going to stay in. But in the future, Isaiah would be best served to take that shot.
Yeah. I think it was coming from a place of unselfishness, but he did tell us, I want you taking open shots.
Inside, and there's a two-handed stuff. It's got to feel good for Darius Lewis, the pride of Tates Creek High School, the same high school as our former colleague Darren Horn, now an assistant at Texas.
High percentage around the rim is Lewis, shooting 56% for his career on layups and dunks.
Pull-up jumper by Monk. And over the back foul on Kentucky. That's on Adebayo. That's his second. It's a foul you could probably live with, because one thing, again, Kentucky has not done particularly well through 3.5 games this year's rebound. And at least you're showing some aggressiveness with that foul. Duquesne cold from 3 in the first half and picking right up where they left off. 2 for 15 now. And that pass leading Derek Willis out of bounds, so a rare Kentucky turnover. You know, we talked about that recruiting class this year that Cal has put together. Again, ranked #1. He's had 4 of them already in Lexington. Adebayo, Fox, Monk, Gabriel, we've seen all 4. That class that won the national title in 2011, of course, led by Anthony Davis, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, you had Marcus Teague and Kyle Wiltshire. It's so hard to compare. You got immense talent in both. Davis was a one-of-a-kind recruit that was such a difference maker on both ends, but this class certainly has that kind of potential.
They do. I think the guards are better on this team, and they you know, as you said, they don't have an Anthony Davis to protect the basket, but I think this team, from a balance standpoint, is a lot like that team in 2015. See Briscoe on the finish there, just too easy down the middle of the lane. I think the balance is similar to that team in 15. Now, do they have the unique talent of a Karl Anthony Towns? We will see.
Another turnover on Duquesne. That's 13 giveaways on the Dukes.
We've seen this all night long, Mike Morgan, just turning a defensive rebound or a turnover into offense on the other end. And you got to make a better play defensively. You just can't jump in the air and allow him to duck underneath.
Briscoe going to load up a 3. Again, that's the shot they want him to take. Stop and pop. Short for Isaiah Mike. Briscoe draws the contact. Count the basket. 3 the hard way for the 6'3" sophomore.
Called Briscoe a fire hydrant with legs in the first half, and I'm sticking to it. He knocked. Who was that he knocked? Emil Blackman flew about 15 feet.
Blackman goes 6'3", 195. It's not as if he's some diminutive figure out there either.
A little forearm shiver, and Blackman went flying.
Over the back foul on Willis, so Briscoe will have to settle for 2. He'll get a breather. And Malik Monk back in for Kentucky. We've not called Malik Monk's name a whole lot tonight. He hasn't taken a bunch of shots, just 6 attempts thus far, 7 points. Of course, he was the man that was absolutely torching Michigan State to the tune of 7 of 11 from 3 at 23 points in that game, and he's got a really pretty stroke.
He does. You know, with him, like a lot of freshmen, he's got to learn how to score before he catches it.
There he goes, dropping the hammer.
And it helps to get some of those. You know, he can't just be a jump shooter. He has to press the issue at the rim because he is a terrific athlete.
Blackman, strong take, will go to the line for a pair.
This is turning defense into offense. Look at Derek Willis. He sparks it going to the other end. Nice little shovel there, and then you can't teach that. It's interesting. A lot of freshmen, you know, they're so used to in high school becoming scorers once they catch it. They can catch it and then survey, jab step. One of the things they got to learn at this level, you're not going to get as many shots, and you have to learn how to score the ball before you catch it. You've got to move without it. You got to use screens. You've got to think the game and score it before it ends up in your hands.
I thought that was something that Jamal Murray was so good at a year ago.
Yeah, and became better at it, right? I mean, Jamal Murray didn't become who he was until late in that year.
Jamal Murray, of course, now in the NBA. Kentucky with 24 players playing right now in the NBA. That's just an insane number. And so many of them recruited and played for Coach Cal. Fox hanging and firing. Adebayo had a shot at it. Blackman on a blow-by and gets it to go. That's just a great take, and Coach Cal will probably say not great defense. 10 for Blackman.
Blackman, a graduate transfer, one of the first they have taken in this program's history.
First media timeout of the second half. Kentucky up big. Legendary Coach Hall being honored during the break. Man, synonymous with success at the University of Kentucky. I mean, they've had some great coaches. 8 national championships in all, but multiple coaches coming away with national championships. Of course, it all started with Adolph Rupp, Coach Hall, Tubby Smith, Rick Pitino, John Calipari. An incredible lineage of coaches that have come through Lexington. Kentucky basketball up 56-29. They try to feed Adebayo and he can't corral it. And there's Adebayo taking some air out of the basketball on a left-handed swat.
I mean, you just don't see guys like Adebayo in the A-10. You certainly don't see him in a high school. Mike Lewis, the freshman, trying to attack the basket. And Adebayo, great timing. Duquesne in that 2-3 zone. I thought we'd see more of it. We didn't see a whole lot in that first half. That foul line wide open. And look at that.
Feathery touch from the big man.
You almost want that shot if you're Duquesne. I mean, that's the shot you're willing to give up. And Adebayo buries it.
And a turnover forced by some more suffocating defense by De'Aaron Fox. You feel like Kentucky this year will see more zone defense because of the added size.
Yeah, you know, and people said it a lot last year too with that team. It just, if zone is not what you do, it's hard to just throw it out there and say, well, we're going to zone Kentucky, right? It has to be what you do. I think man teams, you'll see them do what Duquesne tried to do in that first half, sag off a little bit, go under ball screens. It's just, you know, it's easier said than done to say, well, we're just going to 2-3 zone a team that doesn't shoot well. If zone is not what you do, it's hard to just implement it and do it well.
Whipping around to Monk on a three, and that is money in the bank. An open three from the wing for Malik Monk. The 6'3" freshman has 12.
Cal took him out for a turnover right at the start of the half. Since he's back in, we've seen the dunk off of the steal and the three there. Much more engaged. Just a great tempo. Look at the release. I mean, the form is beautiful.
And you would think he's going to have that kind of look all year long. With all the weapons they have, right?
You would think.
Shot clock down to 5. Now 2. A step back. Might have been partially blocked into the hands of Adebayo. Monk again for 3. Monk shooting over 40% from downtown as a true freshman. Sanders gets it to go. Adebayo. And out of bounds to Kentucky. Substitutions coming in for the Wildcats. It'll be Isaac Humphreys. And for Duquesne, Spencer Littleson. Again, Duquesne in the Atlantic 10, a very deep and quality conference.
Yes, it is.
Fox from 14. An offensive rebound to Gabriel. Monk. Pull-up jumper, true. Malik Monk starting to heat up here in the second half.
One of the toughest shots to hit in basketball, that 1-2 dribble pull-up. Typically when guys put it on the floor, but the percentage goes down. See how smooth he is, though, straight up and down on that one.
Lewis finds Smith, their leading scorer, and Smith draws a hand check foul on Gabriel. First foul on the freshman Wenyon Gabriel. It's always funny to see a team like Duquesne. You know, they don't play obviously a lot of games like this. We watched them enter the Kraft Center today, which is a phenomenal practice facility for the Wildcats, and to see the looks on the players' faces and the coaches' faces. I mean, it's hard not to be in awe when you're a school like Duquesne and you're getting ready to play at Rupp Arena. This is a great opportunity for them, even if they don't walk away with a W tonight. A memorable experience only makes you better playing tough competition. Their 5th game in 10 days, however, that's got to be daunting.
Well, with 7 new guys on the roster, they only have 1 starter who actually wore a Duquesne uniform last season. To not get the opportunity to practice, I mean, you mentioned the 5 games in 10 days. You're basically using games to adjust your system and adjust personnel.
Lewis around the screen from Sanders. Out to Smith. On the drive, rejected. That time blocked away by Kalia Jones. Monk, the return to Mulder. Kentucky still hustling. Look at that by Humphreys. And it'll be Kentucky basketball. Great hustle by Isaac Humphreys, the 7-foot sophomore. Kentucky up big. When we come back, we'll tell you the only program in college basketball history to produce back-to-back #1 overall draft picks in the NBA. The answer will surprise you. Always coaching John Calipari. His young Wildcats destined to be #1 in the upcoming rankings, leading Duquesne 65-33. Okay, we teased a break. The only college program to produce back-to-back #1 overall picks in the NBA. Believe it or not, it's not Kentucky. It's not North Carolina. It's not Duke. It's Duquesne. Who could forget the mighty duo of Cy Green and Dick Ricketts, Chris Spatola, back in 55 and 56, the only school to produce back-to-back #1 picks.
That dynamic duo of Ricketts and Green was breaking down tape of them earlier today.
Was that in black and white or color?
It was silent, I do know that.
Sometimes a picture speaks a thousand words. They do have some tradition at Duquesne. Norm Nixon,
Absolutely.
very good player back in the day, still around the program from time to time. They just honored their 100-year anniversary last year, so this is year number 101. These two teams actually met one other time, 1982. Here at Rupp Arena, it was a crowd of over 23,000. It's the largest crowd in the history of Duquesne basketball.
Well, it's worth mentioning. I mean, they lost. We talk about all the new faces. They lost 70% of their scoring. Duquesne lost a backcourt last year that made 198 threes, and Micah Mason and Derek Coulter. So, you know, that's tough to replace and then come on the road here to Kentucky and get it done.
Foul on the Dukes. And they also lost L.J. Guild to Maryland, that grad transfer rule, which Coach Jim Ferry was very outspoken to us about. I know a lot of coaches have thoughts on that. I know you, Chris Spatola, have many thoughts on that we'll get to in a moment, but that was a huge loss for them as well.
Absolutely.
Inside, Humphreys banging bodies.
Use the glass, big fella. What a move. Everything but the finish.
Kalia Jones just picks up his second foul. 31-point cushion for Kentucky as we're coming up on the 10-minute mark here at Rupp Arena. The Wildcats poised to go 4-0 and should be #1 in the upcoming college basketball poll. There's a steal by Fox. Showtime. Oh, he kind of toyed with us a little bit, a finger roll.
He is such a good defensive player.
Another one by Fox. What does he have in store here? Has it knocked away from behind. He actually slowed up on the play, but that is back-to-back steals by the freshman.
This is the first one. Look at the anticipation. And it's tough to make a bounce pass there. You make a soft pass, he makes a great play. He is one of the best defensive guards in the country. His ball pressure is outstanding, and there you see the anticipation off the ball.
And you add that to Briscoe defending on the perimeter.
And Monk, I mean, that's what I say. They are, from a perimeter standpoint, they are the best defensive team in the country. Now the question is, can they get the rim protection? Can they get that second level to be as good as it's been tonight?
Pull-up jumper off the mark, and a rebound to the Dukes. Off and running. 3-on-2. Oh, goodness. Unforced error on Eric James. Got to do better than that. 18 turnovers now on Duquesne. You know, go back to your point on the defense this year. A lot of people would look back at last year's team and say, well, they had it all, particularly on offense. How in the world could that not be a Final Four team? In Coach Cal's 7 years, it was the highest points per game given up. They gave up over 68 points per game, so it's not your typical Calipari defense. This one looks like it.
Yeah, well, his best teams have started with defense. I mean, he coaches defense. That team in 2015 had the biggest margin for error of any team I've ever seen. And it started on that defensive end, and it started really with the rim protection of Willie Cauley-Stein and Karl Anthony Towns and Dakari Johnson. We know the team in 2012. I mean, this game of basketball is about increasing your margin for error and decreasing your opponents. And when you can defend like Kentucky has with their best teams, it takes so much pressure off of your offense.
Willis checks back in for Kentucky. Humphreys will take a seat. Blackman, and that will be a goaltend on Adebayo.
Blackman gets the angle there and ball up on the glass. Adebayo just wants to show you once again what a physical specimen he is.
Three from the corner. That time Mulder off the mark. He hit the last one. Mike has it blocked away that time by Monk.
See, there's the difference between the A-10 and the team that's going to be #1 in the poll that comes out next.
Right.
Is you can't put that ball on the floor if you're Isaiah Mike, because the reaction time of a guy like Monk is it's too fast. Your window is so small.
Kentucky loaded with guys who are long and quick twitch.
And Isaiah Mike, of course, playing in high school last year, only a freshman.
Ball up, Adebayo with the flush. You know, we never saw Dwight Howard play in college because he went straight from high school back in the day. They didn't have the mandatory one-and-done rule, but physically speaking, you can see a little bit of that in him, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I will say that he's more gifted offensively at this point in his career than Dwight Howard was.
Strong take by Mike, and that'll draw a pair of free throws for the freshman.
There have been a lot of dunks tonight here in Lexington. Bam Adebayo delivering there. Bam Adebayo's put on an absolute show here tonight. He's moved his feet defensively, blocked some shots, and he's shown the full array offensively. There, a great angle on the block. Here again, the defense, the timing. Shows you a little range here with the pull-up. And again, off the offensive glass, the flush. He has the full array here tonight against Duquesne. You see the body. He's shown you the skills as well. What a talented big fella for Kentucky.
Stuffing the stat sheet: points, rebounds, blocks. Kentucky led by the three freshmen tonight. Adebayo with 12, Monk and Fox each with 14 points. And no signs of a letdown after the big win, convincing win over Michigan State. And had a few days off. They came out here not flat in the least, put 50 up in the first half, and they have continued to play hard here in the second half. They're reviewing a 2 that they think might be a 3 right now at the scorer's table.
You know, I don't know if it's going to make a difference in this game.
Well, they just gave Kentucky an extra point. So if you're Duquesne and you're head coach Jim Ferry, you got to be saying, really? You're giving me a technical foul. You gave one of my players a flagrant foul on a review. Now you go to another review to add an extra point.
And Ferry looks at him and says, okay, great. Like sometimes, I understand there are automatics. We got to review, but let's use a little common sense here tonight.
No mercy. Swing pass to Mulder. Shot clock under 10 now. Monk inside Adebayo. There's that jump hook shot. Missed it. Tapped it. Got it back. Monk on a rise and fire 3. Kentucky keeping it alive. Gabriel wiring and finishes, plus the foul.
Your coach Calipari, you've got to feel so good about how your post players have played here tonight. I mean, they've played with the motor that we've become accustomed to, but they've actually produced results tonight. There's Gabriel. We've talked about Adebayo. We mentioned the balance that this Kentucky staff is looking for. Only 10 shots against Michigan State for those Kentucky post players. They've thrown it into the post. Those guys have gone and gotten some shots for themselves. Would be an added dimension and a good one for the head coach.
Kentucky up by 37. Under 7 minutes to play. Rifle pass down low. Great look. And Sanders draws the foul. Got Michael Mulder to leave his feet. You try to find a weakness. You know, we talked about some of the things that Kentucky did not do particularly well. Again, relatively speaking, for a Kentucky team under Coach Cal. I don't know if this team is going to have a weakness. You say, well, what about the youth? That's where Isaiah Briscoe, I know he's just a sophomore, but he's turned into a big leader. Derek Willis is a senior. You go back to that 2012 national championship team, and I think one of the more underrated players on that squad was Darius Miller, a senior. So they had, surrounding Davis and Kid Gilchrist, they had a couple of glue guys that had been around the program that made a difference, and that's where guys like Willis and Briscoe can make a difference as well.
They've got to continue to become a better rebounding team.
That's
that is
for sure.
one area where they have struggled. I think their guards, if their guards commit to rebounding, it's amazing when your guards rebound how much better a team you can become in that area.
Free ball knocked down by Terrence Smith. He's a good-looking player, sophomore, out of the state of New Jersey, averaging 15.5 a game.
Oh, and you brought it up earlier. I mean, this team should have LG Gill, who used that rule that needs to change in college basketball. That grad transfer rule is essentially a loophole that coaches at high major programs are using to pilfer players off of mid-major and low-major teams. LG Gill goes to Maryland. He's only playing about 10, 12 minutes a game. But he should be in a Duquesne uniform this year. Right. And I'm not saying guys shouldn't be able to transfer. But if we're going to make undergraduate transfers have to sit out a year, then I don't understand why we have graduate transfers transferring and playing right away. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Great point. It's kind of a back end one and done, if you will, at the collegiate level. Now on Kentucky. And when you hear coaches like Jim Ferry, who was very candid with us this morning, talk about it, how you used a very appropriate term, pilfer. He talked about the fact most of these programs now have a board of great high school kids, great JUCO kids, and then great upperclassmen at schools they feel like they can take away or lure away with that new grad transfer rule.
And you can't have that in college basketball. I mean, you know, who knows what's going on in handshake lines after games. I mean, it should not be going on. And look, I'm not saying kids shouldn't be allowed to transfer. You want to transfer, go ahead and transfer. But to have a different distinction on eligibility where undergrads have to sit out a year and grads can play right away, that doesn't make any sense, and it needs to be changed.
A lot of coaches would agree with you. Turnaround shot by Kalia Jones, too strong. Coming up on the 5-minute mark here in Lexington. Wildcats in good shape to improve to 4-0 on the season. Blackman trying to shake and bake on Willis. And Willis got the better end of that deal, rejected the shot. And Willis gets the feed. Willis too strong on the three. Crowd wanting Willis to shoot it. He passed up two of them. This is Fox. What a move. My goodness. How do you guard that?
Wow. I mean, this is high-level stuff here from De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox with 16 points. He doesn't look like a freshman.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's.
All smiles here at Rupp Arena in Lexington. The Wildcats leading Duquesne 81-46. And they've opened up a block party here at Rupp Arena. 8 swats already for the Wildcats.
And it's coming a lot of different ways. I mean, look at that. He's coming through the backboard to get that one. And it's come from guards, it's come from big guys, it's come all over the place. That help defense so strong. That weak side has been so active for Kentucky. And I'll tell you what, you can make mistakes out there on that perimeter if you've got that second-tier defense willing to step in and clean it away.
8 blocks, 11 steals. No lack of intensity on the defensive end for Kentucky tonight. De'Aaron Fox, by the way, will get a breather. He's earned one. The freshman, 16 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 3 steals, 1 turnover in 31 minutes.
I mean, that move just before the break was filthy. I mean, that is like high-level stuff. And he never stopped putting pressure on the ball all night. Even with, 35-point game, he's like programmed. That ball's coming up. He is putting pressure on it 94 feet.
Willis on the return to Mulder on a 3. And a rebound. Gabriel, hoop in the harm. A chance for 3 the hard way.
Sky's the limit for that guy. Went from unranked as a recruit to a top 10 guy.
Kentucky 83, Duquesne 46. The final 3:52 coming up. Wildcats in the lead, 83-46 tonight at 11 Eastern time on ESPN. You can end your weekend with Sports Center at night. John Buchagras and Stan Barrett will have all the college basketball, NBA, NHL, and more, as well as the rest of the day in sports. Plus, Boomer and Herm Edwards are on hand with NFL highlights and analysis at Sports Center tonight at 11 o'clock on ESPN. Mike Morgan alongside Chris Spatola here from Rupp Arena, Kentucky, picking up where it left off with a convincing win over Michigan State. Taking care of business tonight against Duquesne. All of the freshmen have contributed in one way or another. Fox has been outstanding with a game-high 16 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. Gabriel to the free throw line for Kentucky. He's got 7 tonight, 21 minutes of work. Make it 8. And a foul on the perimeter on Kentucky. I mentioned Duquesne's played 5 games in 10 days. They'll get a couple of days off before they play again on Wednesday. That'll be against UT Martin. They look like a team that could use a couple of days off.
They do. They need some practice. They need to figure out who they are as a basketball team, and that starts in practice.
This is part of the future for Duquesne right here at the free throw line. And Isaiah Mike, a good-looking 6'8" freshman from Ontario. Jim Ferry very optimistic about the future of this program, believes that it's on the rise. A lot of these young players will only get better as they polish their games throughout the year. Lost a couple of heartbreakers before this game. Hawkins. Gabriel again. Well, he's going to be a menace on the offensive boards this year. Coming up on the 3-minute mark, another block for Willis. Willis on a breakaway. Gets fouled from behind. Derek Willis says, hey, I'm more than a sharp shooter. I can play some D.
What a defensive play that was, too. Look at the contest. Has to do an about face, gets the shot block, and then turns it in the other direction, gets himself to the foul line.
I love what Coach Calipari said about Willis defensively. He said, hey, man, you're 6'9". You should be able to do some things on defense. Go out there and hustle.
So get in a stance, stay in front of somebody.
Speaking of Coach Cal, that is son Brad Calipari checking into the ball game. Some of us can relate to this time in the game being inserted at this point. Not necessarily you, Chris, but some of us can.
relate to Brad Calipari, too. Played for my dad in high school. Can be a unique experience.
Inside, nice shot off the window by Darius Lewis, who will have at least 4 in the scoring column for the homecoming product out of Lexington.
Now, how about that? Go up a block or 2 from Rupp Arena. You get to come back and play in your hometown.
Open 3 from the corner is knocked down by Michael Mulder. Littleson on a tray. And Calipari gets a rebound. Left alone, Michael Mulder. This could be one of those glue guys this year for Kentucky.
Well, and he can provide some outside shooting for a team that, as we said, hasn't shot it real well outside of Malik Monk. And Derek Willis, if he's hitting, Mulder's come in and hit some shots tonight.
Career high, 14 points for Mulder now. Oh, don't forget, tomorrow, quadruple header, the Maui Jim Maui Invitational. Tennessee and Wisconsin get it tipped off at 2:30. Georgetown, Oregon will follow. Then Oklahoma State, UConn, that'll be on ESPNU. And then back on the deuce, it'll be number 5, North Carolina versus the host team, Chaminade. What about Wisconsin this year in the Big Ten?
Very good. A team that, they finally have Greg Gard for the full year. Again, very balanced. Good play inside. Ethan Happ, I think, has a chance to be the Big Ten Player of the Year. Their guard plays good. Bronson Koenig, experienced. Nigel Hayes, experienced. Guys who have played in a Final Four, a national championship game. So, best team in the Big Ten.
On the pump fake, Robinson draws the foul. Oh, here we are. We know everybody's going to pick Kentucky in the SEC.
Yeah, you think?
I think that's going to be a pretty unanimous selection as the season moves along. But what about some other teams that you might like in the Southeastern Conference?
Yeah, I think Florida. I think Mike White's done a great job at Florida. I think he's built some guys into that program. Getting Canyon Berry is good. I think one of the best big guys, we've talked about all these big guys on Kentucky, one of the best big guys in the SEC is Tyler Davis down at Texas A&M. Yeah. They'll go probably as far as he and some of those other sophomores can take them. And then, there's always a team out there. I know you've seen Georgia. J.J. Frazier and some of those big guys can come along. But I think the league is down based on what it was last season.
James on a breakaway slam. And Yonte Maton, I think one of the more underrated players, swingman for the Bulldogs. Play getting a little sloppy here in the final 90 seconds. And Duquesne taking advantage with a couple of easy buckets. Johnny David. Under a minute to play. Kentucky going to improve to 4-0 on the season. Next up for the Wildcats, it'll be Cleveland State, UT Martin, and then Arizona State and UCLA. They've also got North Carolina in an added conference game this year. Mike on a tray. Tried to get it to Calipari. And there's a triple from the corner for Littleson. Jim Ferry just stopping the clock to get some subs in. No strategy here. Get Lewis out of the game. Kentucky can just bleed the final 15 seconds off the clock. Impressive performance by the Wildcats. Players of the game, several candidates, but De'Aaron Fox was especially good tonight. Young man finishing with 16 points, 7 rebounds, 6 assists. Two coaches who have known each other for decades shaking hands at midcourt. Kentucky winning it by a final score of 93-56. For Chris Spatola, this is Mike Morgan saying so long. That's all from Lexington. Coming up, the SWAC Women's Volleyball Championship, Texas Southern and Alabama State. We will be back with more from Kentucky. But first, let's check in with the studio.
Okay, Mike, no questions. Kentucky dominating Duquesne from start to finish. Alongside Dino Gaudio, I'm Brendan Fitzgerald here. We'll get back out to Rupp Arena in Lexington in just a minute with a post-game word. What did you see from the Wildcats?
Well, like we talked about at halftime, this is a tenacious defensive team. It starts with their guards. They apply so much pressure, Brendan, on the basketball that they're disruptive. It's hard to get into your offense. If, capital IF, you get by those guards, they got shot blocking at the rim. I mean, so many guys are athletic and active, and it's just not the post guys that are blocking the shots. We've seen Adebayo right there. We've seen big guy coming over from the help side. A block shot on the basketball. So they have erasers at the rim, tremendous pressure on the perimeter, and this is a really good defensive team.
Where do you put them in the grand scheme of college basketball right now, as you've seen some teams for about a week now?
Well, I think right now when the polls come out, this is the #1 team in the country.
Okay. Chris Spatola is back in Lexington. De'Aaron Fox had an impressive game filling up the stat sheet. Let's hear from him. Chris, back to you at Rupp.
Here with De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron, you've made this adjustment from high school to college look easy. How has the adjustment been from your perspective?
It might look easy, but it wasn't easy at all. Just getting used to the speed and the physicality of the game was something different. I feel like that affects your whole game, and it has for me, but I'm still adjusting, and I don't feel like I play well yet, but, I mean, we've been getting it done. We've been winning games, but so my individual performances don't mean anything to me right now.
And you talk like a veteran, too, my friend. You guys are probably going to be the #1 team in the country when this new poll comes out. You guys ready for that?
I mean, the rankings don't really mean anything right now. We're still early in the season. Guys have only played 3-4 games, so we're still just going to go out and play like we got a target on our back.
I said during the broadcast that you guys have the best perimeter defense in the country. Is that a fair statement?
I think it's a fair statement, but we're still getting better. Me and Malik, we're not used to guarding college guards yet, honestly. But, I mean, Isaiah's been making us a lot better. He showed us how Cal wants us to play defensively, and then doing it against him in practice has made us a lot better. So, I mean, I want to say we're the best defensive ball team in the game, so, but we're still getting better. So,
Brendan, this is a guy Coach Gaudio would love. De'Aaron Fox, back to you guys.